Hey, and welcome back to Contractor Evolution. It's Igor here from the studio, and my good amigo Benji is not here, but he's joining us from a undisclosed but very warm and beautiful location. So guys, while business tactics, the skills, systems, they make up a pretty big part of our discussions here on the show, we'd be remiss to not also talk about the importance of having a balanced life outside the walls of your business. A lot of you are husbands, wives, you're mothers and fathers, community members, you're fitness enthusiasts and adventurers. And balance is a virtue that's worth striving for, and that means spending our time in a way that allows us to express our core values, to be with the people that we love, and to do the things that we really enjoy. Now, yes, crushing goals and making a ton of money is great, but if your life outside of that is empty, what are you really achieving with your time here on Earth?
Exactly. And striking that fine balance between business success, family, health, and personal enjoyment is an art form. And it's actually one a lot of you are trying to master. So today on the show, we're going to explore how one super successful 8-figure contractor has implemented a life planning process to drive his business strategy, but simultaneously show up for the myriad other components of his life. Blaise McDonald owns Mac Renovations. Before Mac, Blaise was an industrial electrician working in a very hands-on capacity. Since entering the business 10 years ago, which was actually originally founded by his dad, it has gone from about $2 million a year in revenue to well over 10. And in that time, he's grown his team from 12 employees to over 40. Exceptional project managers, carpenters, salespeople, and administrators. And it needs to be said, he is one of the highest performing entrepreneurs we work with at Breakthrough Academy.
Now, in today's episode with Blaise, we talk about the detailed personal planning system that he and his wife use to chart the trajectory of their shared life and how that drives his approach to the business. And we also get into how a deeper and a much more meaningful why improves his clarity of thought, his motivation levels, and the overall entrepreneurial enjoyment of the journey. So let's get into it with Blaise McDonald. You're watching Contractor Evolution, where we unpack the systems, tactics, and skills you need to take your fast-growing contracting business to the next level.
You're here to learn what it takes to scale up, work less, and increase profitability. You've come to the right place.
Stay tuned to learn what separates the new breed of contractor from the old school, and welcome to your ultimate guide on the business of contracting. Blaise, welcome to the show, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Awesome. We are pumped to have this conversation with you. So Blaise, I want to kick it off with just a general question to start, which is, a lot of us as leaders and entrepreneurs, we go through quite a robust strategic planning process every year on the business. We set goals, set a vision, and accomplish pretty great things year in, year out. What I want to know is, like, for you, was there a point, and when did you realize that just growing and driving successes in the business just for the sake of growth wasn't really like a deep enough why for you?
I was, I'm part of a mentor group we meet every 6 months, and somebody asked me in front of 15 other business owners, why are you doing this? And I was like, because I can. Which is pretty shallow at the time. It kind of stumped me a little bit. So I don't know. Whenever I go to those things, I usually take a day to kind of reflect and kind of dug into it a little bit. And when we got back, just started to look into it.
Right.
Why?
Did the other business owners, when you were with these 15 other entrepreneurs, did they have really good reasons for it and you didn't?
Some of them did. I mean, I just never thought about it. You're so far into it and into the weeds sometimes. You're coming up for air, and you just kind of you realize where you are.
Yeah, and how many years into Mac Reno was this? Like this that mastermind that you're referring to?
It was probably 6 years since I joined the business as the operations manager.
Right.
So probably about 5-6 years ago now.
Yeah. So you guys have been going for 5-6 years, pretty good and consistent growth. But that whole time you were you're doing it just because it was the thing to do, to grow and to push.
I don't know. We're just working.
Yeah.
I
get it, man.
I was just learning business at that point. It was every day is a school day.
Yeah.
In that reflection period, when you left that group, what kind of realizations did you have? Was there some good self-learning? Were there some realizations, an epiphany where you're like, maybe I do need to reach a little deeper and sort of anchor my business to goals that are more meaningful, goals that are more personal? Like if there was an epiphany, tell us about that.
Well, like we'd always done when I got out of at BCIT, my last project that I did was implementing EOS traction in our business, and we'd kind of fallen off the wayside. But the only thing that we did consistently is we'd do a yearly offsite, and then we'd do quarterly to set our yearly goals, and then a quarterly meeting to just reset the rocks, the 90-day things we were going to do, and then we would do a weekly management meeting just to keep traction on those things. So, I was thinking, like, why don't I do that for other areas of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you sit in January and go, I'm going to do this for 30 days or whatever. This is my New Year's resolution. Like, why not just keep tension on it?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Like we set these robust plans and like strategic initiatives and all this stuff for the business, but why aren't we doing that as well for personal life?
Yeah. So, I mean, like it was another mastermind after that, or peer group that they challenged me to put a life plan together. So, I looked for, just a structure, a program to put together, and then I talked to my wife about it. And at the time, like, we had a young kid. She was going to UVic. Like, she was like, I can barely get through the day. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So she was a hard sell. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, but I mean, like it was. I said, I'm going to do this and whatever. And I'm going to do this regardless. And I really think that we should be on the same page here, that we should be heading the same direction, in any, this is a partnership, so it was probably about 3 years ago that we kind of sat down and had our first whack at it. And, it wasn't, we kind of did it half-assed and worked through it. And the next year we really took a full day to do it. Mm-hmm. Again, I picked it up a few times and throughout the year and kind of worked it into my plan. And then this year she really bought into it because she looked at all the things that she'd written down and the intention that she put and knocked them off. And I mean, I did the same thing. So,
the wheel started spinning. Like she could see the value in doing it. Maybe at first she's reluctant because this seems like this crazy notion. Your young family going to school, the thought of planning things out a year or more in advance is like, you're just so reactive at that stage. That's a completely abstract idea. But then she did it, and then the second time around, she could see the things she actually did, the items she crossed off the list, and then the buy-in builds from there. Take us through the actual process or the actual framework that you guys follow. What do you mentioned you guys get away for a day? How do you prep for that? What's involved day of? What do you guys build together? Just kind of walk us through that whole sequence.
So, I mean, this year we went to a place up, it's called the Airy, kind of just out of town. It was New Year's Day. We got someone to watch the kids, so it was the day after New Year's, easier to get a babysitter. Mm-hmm. We just went up there early, opened them up, and kind of worked through it. Like, so the way you do it is, and this was the hard sell tour, is you write your eulogy. So you think of like, you think of all the people in your life, all the groups of people in your life, and you think of how you want to be remembered by them. So your family, your friends, your peers, whatever, and you actually write that out. And then you break them out into each category, as like you call them life accounts. So like, self-development, physical, marriage, parental, family, colleagues, friends, business, personal finance. And you go through and write your purpose statement, why that's important to you, what your envisioned future is, what you see, and then maybe some inspiring quotes that you pick up throughout the year. Then you write your current reality. What is it actually like in those life accounts? And then you make some specific commitments. And those commitments are really just habits that you'd like to keep. Right? I mean, like those, those all those goals that you make. Say if it's I want to make $10 million, like it's a sequential, like it might be 1,000 steps to kind of get there. And the only thing that you can do is the only thing that you can really control is that next step. So if you're intentionally week after week making sure that you're moving the needle on each one of these things, it's amazing how much you knock off. It's the growth is exponential because it builds on itself. If that makes sense.
It totally does.
You think of that. You think about that in your business. Like you overestimate what you can get done in a year, but you underestimate what you can get done in 10.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah,
the same thing goes for your personal life. It's the exact same thing goes for your fitness goals, how you want to build your relationships, how you want to foster community. And I'm sure for everyone, the life accounts that you decide to create, they're not arbitrary. Is that up to you to decide which life accounts are really important?
And you rank them in importance in your life too, right? Like, in the first few years of kind of doing this, you get yourself into the weeds in the business. Things happen. You stop doing your weekly plans or whatever, and what you find is you just focus on your firefighting or putting whatever's screaming the loudest. But at the end of that time, you might realize that those things aren't the most important to you. You could same with your marriage or partnership or whatever. Like if you're focusing all on the business year after year and that partnership goes sideways, you're going to give away half of it anyways. So like,
right.
If it's important to you to foster that relationship, then put some time into it.
Yeah.
Because it's just as important as the business.
And Blaise, just out of curiosity, like in your case, what are your big life accounts? Like when you're going through this planning process, what are the big buckets that you're thinking about?
Well, I literally just read them out. One is self-development. That's kind of my one is just like, business leadership, interpersonal skills, those things. I'm a big learner. So, I'll learn for entertainment, which is not always. So like that is one is I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the right things. That I'm focusing that energy on learning about the things that are going to make me be who I want to be. So next is like physical, like your health, what you eat, how you exercise. Like if you can't, if you end up in the hospital, like it doesn't matter. What's going on? My partnership, with my wife, and then also my kids. My kids are a huge portion, and then my extended family, colleagues, friends, business, and personal finance. And then one also is our home. We build houses, we renovate houses.
There's some writing involved with this, is there not? Do you craft sort of a painted picture for each of these? Is it a few sentences, a paragraph? Is it a story? Is it a vision board? Like, how do you put into physical form the thoughts that I think a lot of entrepreneurs they have, and they might even be pretty clear mentally, but it's that putting it into the reality. Either a document or something else. Like, do you write stuff for all of these accounts as far as like what you want it to look like in an ideal world 5 or 10 or whatever years from now?
Yeah, I mean, you write, the first is that eulogy. So like anytime you're making a journey, you need to know where you're going to go, or have an idea. And the thing is too, is like this changes, like it's a fluid document. Like I do mine in a Google document, I can go back to previous versions and what's important to me now is not what's important to me 3 years. You change as a person, your values change. you know, especially when you have kids and stuff happens with your families or business, you know, it just, you know, you have to have a little bit of, I don't know, self-compassion and
Some flex.
Look at it.
Some
Yeah.
flex. Yeah.
So I, like I said before, you do a purpose statement, why that account is important to you, you know, so you can, what is your purpose? Your envisioned future, what that vision looks like to you, like how would that be if all those things happened? I put a couple inspiring quotes in there that I just pick up, like, you know, I change them every year if it doesn't feel true to me anymore. And then your current reality. So you update that current reality every year, and you look at those specific commitments, you know, and really as you're going through the year, you should be at least looking at this thing once a quarter, you know, to see is it still true? Am I hitting those goals? And, you know, it's like, I'm reading this or listening to this book by Jocko
Willink.
Willink's right now, and he talks about detachment. You know, like when you're in the line and you scope, you're in the scope. You're just looking at what's in front of you. You're part of the team, but actually taking that scope down, stepping back, and detaching from what's going on allows you to see everything. Right?
I love
you get
that.
a bigger picture of of what's actually going on. You know, if you're killing yourself in your business day after day, and you know, you don't have good relationships with your kids, and your marriage is on the rocks, and you haven't seen any of your friends, and you know, why?
What's the point? What's the point?
Totally.
Especially if you're not making any money.
Yeah, it's hard enough if you are making a bunch of money. Yeah, I think all entrepreneurs are looking for two things, and I mean, and you just know this from the thousands of calls I've logged over the last 5 years or so. It's like people want more time. That's usually the first thing they want, and then they want more money too. And what's interesting is you can't really enjoy one without the other. You have all the time in the world but no resources. You're slumming it, and if you're rich as can be and no space to enjoy it, I think that's equally as bad. Probably more tormenting, in fact. Before we just move past this section, I wanted to just, how collaborative of a process is this between you and your partner? Do you guys each prep for it, come in, share some stuff, and some stuff's kept private? Is it a shared document? Like, how does the intersection between you and her work when it comes to this kind of goal setting?
I mean, we like this time we went up to the resort at like noon. We had lunch. We kind of hung out there in the afternoon. It's like up in the mountains on Vancouver Island, so it's a real beautiful spot, peaceful. You know, no kids running around screaming. And we just kind of worked on our current realities and shared some of our we knocked this off. We did this. I did really well here. You know, shared some regrets. I wish we spent some more time there. You know, and you know, just it's more of a support. Like we each have our own, and we're ours. You know, finance, kids. You know, our own personal. Like we share those parts. Health, and you know, it's quite collaborative. I mean, we're not like, it's not a shared document by any means. I mean, it's pretty personal. Not that I wouldn't let her read the whole thing. It's just it's
it kind of
There's some
a
stuff
lot of
that
it pertains to you, I guess, is kind of what you're saying. Yeah. So just to make sure I understand this, so when you're looking at like one of these, like what you call life accounts, let's just pick one, like physical and health, you're thinking through, like for you personally, what that means when you say like the purpose, why it's important to you. That's why it's important for you personally, right? And then you're writing out like your current reality, your vision, some inspiring quotes, and then she would be doing the same prior to coming into this for the stuff that's important to her, right? Cool. I gotcha.
You know, like I mean, I took it a little bit further as well too. Is like I've done some leadership courses, and I have I'm really clear about my personal values. So I have value statements that I put in there too, and I read those. You know, just it helps me make the decisions that I need to make. Like you know, I am like anything that's shiny, I'm all over. Like I have like zero concentration or focus.
Attention span.
Attention span. Yeah, yeah.
sound like an
I can
entrepreneur.
focus on something if it's once it's there. But as far as it goes, like I have a huge capacity. But if I don't use something like this, I just, anything that drops by, I'm chasing it.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. I know they do. It's like huge capacity, huge workload, willingness to go long days, long weeks. But it's the channeling that into something meaningful that seems to be at the crux of a lot of entrepreneurs' challenge. It's like they know that they can do more, but it's like, where do I put this? And I think the idea of having separate buckets is an interesting one, because it would allow you to really block stuff out. When that shiny object does come across your plate, you can kind of look back at the plan and go, does this fit in here? Is this tied into one of the buckets that I have premeditated and put thought into, or is this truly just something that's come across my consciousness and needs to be batted to the side? And so I love this whole process for that reason. I'm curious if there's been your approach is much more balanced, I'm sure, than it was before. You're looking at much more things than you were before. You're putting focus and time and resources into a longer list of priorities. Does that get in the way of your business focus sometimes, or does it make it better?
I would say it makes it better. Like I'm laser focused.
Right.
Like I only have a finite amount of time, and like I use. That was one of the things that we first did when I sat down with Paul from BTA. Is he's like, "What are you doing every day?" And we just like marked it out. And he's like, "Stop doing this. Let's not do that." And like I run a very tight schedule. I share it all with my staff. They all know where I am, and when they can talk to me, I make sure that there's times that I'm available to them, and they're always allowed to book some free time if they have it. So
is that through Google Calendar? Like your
Google
calendar is shared
yeah.
with the rest of the team, so they can open it up in their browser, select, hey, I want to see what Blaise is up to right now. Oh, he's busy doing this important thing. Maybe I can slot in later.
Yeah, they know to send me an email or shoot me a text, and I have read receipts on my text, so they know that I've read it or not. Like I'm very open with that. Mm-hmm. Like if I haven't read it, I haven't read it, and it's not because I'm ignoring you. I just haven't had. Like I have no notifications on my phone. I just look at them at certain times. That's sometimes I look down. There's like 15 text messages. You're like,
yeah, we'll have to deal with that later. So an obvious question here, Blaise, that I think will come to mind for a lot of entrepreneurs is like, they might be thinking, man, I mean, this sounds awesome. Like to be able to put some focus and spend some time and intentionality on like my physical well-being and my health, my personal development, my kind of extended family, all these things. And that sounds great in theory, but I'm hustling like 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week sometimes. Like surely you would have had to create space in your from your actual day-to-day work and in your business to allow room for more intentionality on your marriage or your kids or your physical well-being. What did that process look like? And obviously we could kind of talk for an hour about this, but in a nutshell, what are some of the big changes that you were forced to make inside of your business and in the way that you managed your priorities and your time and what you said yes to and more importantly, what you said no to? How did those things shift to allow more room for a lot of these things that were personally important to you?
Well, kids for once, like they just make it happen. But like when I joined our business and got into it, I was 60, 70, 80 hours a week. There's a lot of times where I'd be at the office till 1 o'clock in the morning, then go home and back at 7. Like just, I was grinding it out and just learning how to do it. I mean, it was and a lot of times back then I was like, I'd hop in on the tools and do this, I'm doing $20 an hour stuff. It's like, part of it is, you have to change your value system as you grow and as your organization grows. If you're the type of person that like when I was a trade, I'm a industrial marine electrician. I was like, wanted to be the best tradesman, wanted to be the guy that could kill it, and that's individual contributor stuff. So if that's what gives you joy, you're not going to be happy running a team. So you have to change your value system so that you value seeing other people succeed or teams succeed. And you have to change the way you have to go from a maker to a manager, right? The makers work from 8 to 4:30 on a certain task by themselves. The managers are blocking times, and you're pushing that. You're helping other people succeed for the whole organization. So
I love that take. Your value system needs to change as your business grows. As you went from maker to manager, as you put it, you went from I'm an individual contributor to now I actually take pride and I get enjoyment and satisfaction out of seeing my team make the contributions, and I'm in the background helping coordinate. Was that a natural shift in values that just occurred, or was that hard for you?
It was hard. I mean, I still sit in the sales manager seat, right? And I love to sell. I'm a hunter. Me
too.
I get off on it. But if I'm out taking the best leads and flipping the clients, and I'm not available to my team to coach them through, what is more important, going out and getting a sale or teaching that sales guy to make a sale after sale after sale after sale. That's what I talk about. The growth is exponential. If you're competing with your own sales team, what is that? What is that for you as a leader? You have to be. Part of it's humility too. Is your job's not to be the best. You want to surround yourself with the best. That's.
I think that's a hard thing for some business owners to let go of. You get used to being extremely competent. You get used to being able to sign any client that comes across your desk. You get used to being able to just ram through a project and hit your critical path milestones and get it done. You take pride in being someone that is a good estimator and knows how to manage financials really well and make lots of money. I see that all the time. The letting go of it is not easy, and you'll see people still they run a team and they're I hired a couple estimators in the last couple of years, but nobody can sell like me.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That means you're a terrible teacher.
That's the right answer to that. That's totally the right answer to that.
Yeah, I think
so.
It's easy to say. This is. It's taken me years to kind of figure this out, and I still struggle with it every day. All this stuff too, right? There's weeks where I don't I work off a paper planner in my Google Calendar, right? And part of when I'm on fire, I'm reading that life plan once a week. When I'm doing my weekly plan takes me 15-20 minutes. I just go through and make sure these are the top 3 priorities I need to knock off this week. And then every day at my workday startup, I just sit for 10 minutes and I go through my list from the stuff before. I make sure that I have 3 things I'm going to get done that day. I make sure that they're scheduled somewhere during the day, and at the end of the day, I make sure that I knock off those 3 things. Do I need to put some more attention in tomorrow? How important are they? So taking those 10-minute spots in throughout the day or throughout the week is what really moves the needle on this stuff. You know, like I think I've said that before, is you can't control, like if you have a big goal, whatever it is, it's like, say I want to lose 20 pounds. You can't just lose 20 pounds, but you know, you can skip that croissant with your morning coffee, or like don't put sugar in it, or whatever. Like you can control those steps day after day. That'll kind of get you to where you need to be.
Yeah. One obvious question I want to ask is about like the accountability system that you know you and your partner use, and I'm more talking about the personal side. I mean, I know you've implemented Traction. You would have a system. You'd have a VTO. You'd have annual goals and initiatives. You would have quarterly rocks. And I think we've flushed that out thoroughly on other episodes. But when it comes to the personal side of things, and you're looking at these accounts that you've decided are important to you, you're looking at the painted picture versus the current reality. How do you and when do you like do these check-ins? Because a year's a long time. You can't just like draft this stuff up when you're clear-headed on New Year's Day and then just fly at it for 12 months and expect it to all happen in perfect rhythm and timing. There is these rhythmical check-ins that do need to exist, and I'm curious what yours look like.
Well, I mean, like one of our goals was this, or one of our commitments we made this year was to do 4 weeks of family vacation. So, you know, we booked it. So like that, you know, Whistler in the spring, whatever, like, or in the winter, and you know, we just booked it right there. So, you know, I don't run our marriage. I don't run our marriage really, but like I don't run it the same way, and I use that term very loosely. But that we do our business. Like we don't have like, you know, level 10 90-minute leadership meetings at our family household, right? But you know, like I don't know, it's a lot more organic than that. We just, you know, we like one of the commitments is that we talk for 15 minutes or whatever after we put the kids to bed. Like, you know, it's pretty easy to do, and you know, when I'm looking at that plan and I see that I want every week, and I'm looking like, okay, I'm gonna make time for that. You know, and even with like, you know, like with my kids, right? One of my commitments was to read them stories every night. So when I'm tired or whatever, I just like that thought pops back in my head. Oh yeah, this is why I want to do it. I think about that purpose statement, and you know, I want to have a long relationship with my sons, and you know, so it's more of a personal check-in. And then her and I kind of talk about it a little bit, and you know, so every now and again she'll be like, "It's not in your, or that's in your life plan." And I'll be like, but it's really more playful than strict. I mean, like,
got it.
Totally. Yeah, and Blaise, is there you mentioned something previously? I remember when you and I were talking around like a regular like weekly rhythm that you have. I think was it at the end of a week or something like that when you're reviewing like what you got done and what your big priorities are moving forward. Like what's your tangible like ritual there?
Well, I use a full focus planner. That's what I do. So like once a week I do. I try and do it on a Friday. Depends if I knock off early or whatever happens. If not, I do it on a Sunday. Sunday isn't usually the greatest, but I just go through. I look at my biggest wins. What are my biggest wins for the week? So you celebrate yourself, and what did you do? 3 to 5 major accomplishments, and then you go back to your big 3. It was, what are the big 3 things that I need to get done? How far did you get? Did you do them? If
like
not,
kind of what you planned the week before, you mean?
Yeah. And it could be like a very important client meeting. It could be, something to do with your kids or a family or whatever. It's usually business related for me, but and then you just write what worked and what didn't. You know, like so, like you know, like being honest with yourself, like a little self-compassion. Like a lot of crazy shit happen. A lot of crazy stuff happens in a week. Like it's. You know, like even like on a project plan, like that's like nothing goes smooth usually, you know, like sometimes, but it's how you react and how you bounce back from it and how you plan for the future. So you go through and say, what are you going to start, improve, stop doing, and then you basically build up next week.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really cool ritual. How long does that take you? Like, how much time are you allotting for this on a weekly basis?
15 minutes.
Awesome.
Not long.
Not long.
How does this process of gaining clarity on your personal life, all the stuff we've talked about thus far, how does this improve your mental game when it comes to business? And I'm particularly curious if you've noticed any shift in like motivation levels when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like it's when I'm doing it, I'm firing on all cylinders. Part of it too is like sleep. So you're like saying, what time do I need to go to bed? Right? Like it's really easy to sit and watch
3 hours of
Netflix until
Netflix, yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning or whatever
Totally.
like that. But I just feel like I'm on top of it. Like even like I'll have anxiety when things are going nuts and you're laying there in bed staring at the ceiling, and I'll just go down and I'll put it on my list. Mm-hmm. Like just to know that I need to schedule time to deal with that. So as long as I know it's on the list and I have a system in place to deal with it, I can forget about it at the time. So it allows me to sleep better, and if I'm sleeping better, I have more mental clarity. I'm in a positive headspace. So you're more intelligent, you make better decisions.
This isn't just an exercise to do off to the side. Like I think the point I'm trying to draw out there for listeners who I know struggle with this is that this does have a very real impact on your business performance as well. It doesn't inhibit it; it makes it better. And Igor, like you and I have talked about this a lot. You need to enjoy what you're doing. Like you need to enjoy mastering your craft. If you are on the grind for 20 years straight, like there's going to be major collateral damage, both in the individuals you surrounded yourself with, but also in your internal world. And I think you think about sports, right? Like I love the term, like, oh, they're playing, like in football playoffs right now, you say, yeah, they're playing really loose. Like that's a good thing. They're playing loose. Like they're free. They're enjoying it. They're not super stressed out. They're not super bogged down. In hockey, they would say, oh, you're gripping the stick too tight, meaning you're just like, ah. And we know that like when you get into that headspace, no matter how you try, it always feels like you're operating at like 70%. Whereas this is the antidote for that. You're operating at 110%, and the effort, the like exerted effort day in, day out is less, but the results are higher. And then the headspace that you carry through is much more of a peaceful one. And as a leader, this is incredibly important. If you're like if you're just a one-man shop and or you have one employee or whatever, okay, maybe, and you want to be a grinder forever, I guess that can work. But if you have a team of people, you've got a leadership team that's taking cues from you. You've got project managers who need answers. You've got salespeople who need to be motivated. You run a complex organization. If you're coming in every morning with like a furrowed brow and you're red in the face and you're underslept, that multiplies through the team in ways I don't think people realize when they're in that space. I've had feedback like myself from people that I work with being like, man, when you're a dick, like the whole team suffers. And this is such a key point. I hope it's not lost on listeners. Like getting clarity on your personal life, your why, the deeper reason you're doing all of this stuff makes you a better performer, it makes you a better leader, and it allows you to play loose the way you need to.
Yeah. Benji, to that point, I was talking to quite a number of people about this at the Winter Summit just a couple of weeks ago in Arizona. And that is such a huge point you made there. Like when you're a leader and you really think about like what do I do that adds a tremendous amount of value to this organization? One of those elements, a big element, is the energy that you bring to the table, right? And yesterday, for instance, right, we had flown out a guy, a prospective team member, employee for the company from Montreal to come after some digital interviews to be in person. I spent 2.5 hours with him in the morning, and I was thinking about that of like, one of your biggest roles is to recruit great people, to inspire them and to lead them effectively. And you need to bring a certain amount of energy to the table to do that well, especially with high performers, right? And if you don't feel good in what you're doing, there's no way you can do that, authentically at least.
The people around you won't feel good either.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So yeah, no, Blaise, it's no surprise to see the growth of your business over the last many years. And some might say, even though, if you will, you've been kind of carving out time for other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky that we're in a great position in a great city.
Yeah.
So like it's the wind has been blowing our direction. But I really resonate with you guys. Say like I learned a long time ago, if I walk in the door, regardless, even if I had like a disagreement with somebody on the drive in, people are like, oh my God, what's going on? Why is Blaise pissed off? So
Totally.
put on a happy face and suck it up.
Yeah. So let's I got a final question for you, which is, Blaise, for the entrepreneurs who are maybe listening to this going, I see what they're saying. Yeah, I get it. But like, they have no idea what's going on this week for me. They have no idea. My team is crumbling. The market's going crazy. I just lost one of my key guys. Like, oh, what a luxury it must be to go and carve out time and plan out your life. For someone in that mindset, and we've all been there, what advice do you have for those entrepreneurs that feel like they're always scrambling?
I've been there, and I'm there. Some days like I feel like I'm scrambling. Some days it's like the first year that I sat as operations manager, we had a 6-figure loss, and I was like, what? Like, so like. I've been there. I've worked the 70 hours a week. You just gotta, like Jocko says, detach and look at the bigger picture. If you're too far in the weeds, you can't see
much at all.
I'm sure there's a quote there, but take the time to plan. Take the time to really feel like what are you good at? What do you want to do, and who do you want to be? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you have to change the person you are today to become the person you want to be tomorrow. So,
yeah, I'd add something to that too, and trust that the process will deliver. I think that's the thing people get stuck on is they go, I would love to do that, but I have to get caught up on all these bids this weekend. I have to return all these phone calls this afternoon. There's always going to be stuff. And it is always going to be hard to say no to it. But once you do, trust that the stuff that we've talked about will kick into motion. The flywheel will begin to spin. The clarity in thought will gracefully fall over you. Your motivation levels will come back. The grind will feel less oppressive. It's gonna work. You just have to start somewhere.
Yeah, totally. And Benji, just to add to that, I think it's important to also just have consciousness to the fact that there's a pretty mechanical element going on here, which is that you only have so much time and so much energy in a given week, in a given month, and everyone has to make their own conscious choices around how you're going to cut up that time, right? It's very mechanical. There's only so much of it, and you choose how you're going to cut it up and how much you are going to put into grinding away at work versus making some of those tough decisions, which, hey, I struggle with these of everything seems so important, but you have to choose what you're going to, piece away to leave the energy and the time available for your partnership, your own adventures and mental well-being, your physical health, all this kind of stuff. So they are, at the end of the day, for everyone, it's your active choice how you're going to cut it up.
Just be clear about what's important to you.
And that's the starting point, right? And if you're not clear about what's important to you, how do you make those decisions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blaise, We really appreciate you doing this with us, man. We know you're a busy guy. Thank you for coming on the Contractor Evolution show, and I know we both really look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, sounds
Thanks,
good.
Blaise.
Cheers,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Contractor Evolution. If you've already subscribed to our channel, consider sharing this episode with another contractor who you think needs to hear it.